Today I'm diving into some giant characters that I would love to see in Marvel Rivals. So recently the Devs held an exclusive Q&A livestream, and one of the questions that came up was the possibility of giant sized characters. They gave a vague response saying while it's possible they can't confirm anything right now. Of course fans around the world now think they've got something big planned, no pun intended, but they just don't want to spoil the surprise yet. Of course adding massive characters into the game will be no easy task. I mean, you can't just have Galactus casually strolling through the battlefield unless you know it's his big toe. But jokes aside, even if these characters come in as playable characters, PvE bosses, or even in-game events, it would be awesome to see all these people in game. So without further ado, here are 5 giant Marvel characters that I think would be a fantastic option to have in the game. First up we have Giant Man, aka Hank Pym. This guy can shrink down to the size of an ant or grow to skyscraper heights, which would make him one of the most versatile characters in the game. But let's be real, it's when he grows huge that's when things get interesting. Imagine starting a Marvel Rivals round just as normal little Hank Pym, using his close hand-to-hand combat, but when he uses his ultimate ability, boom, an enormous Giant Man on the field. I mean, the whole battlefield would change. Giant Man could stomp the ground, sending huge shockwaves through the battlefield. It could knock people so far back or even off the map, or he could have this huge hand swipe that again does the same thing and swipes multiple enemies at once. Of course there would be some trade-offs to balance things out. Maybe when he's in his giant form you'd make him a lot slower, and of course he would be a huge big target, so you'd have to time his transformation really perfectly. And how cool would it be if you could interact with the environment in unique ways? Imagine him ripping off pieces of buildings to use as weapons or shields. Just the thought of him towering over a battlefield, changing the complete dynamics of the match, could really make him an exciting pick. Next on the list is the iconic Sentinel, one of the most terrifying threats that the X-Men has ever faced. These massive mutant hunting machines are completely relentless, and their ability to change and adapt could make them really interesting in game. Just imagine using a Sentinel in Marvel Rivals, using that high-tech machinery, stomping people with huge mechanical legs, swiping them, flying about the battlefield, firing rockets endlessly at enemies. But the real kicker is the adaptability. In the comics, Sentinels learn from their enemies, especially mutants, and they tailor their attacks based on the powers that they're facing. That could totally translate into the game. Imagine scanning one of your enemies so you could use one of the abilities or even be resistant to one of their attacks. How cool would that be? As a playable character, the Sentinel will be a really slow moving and heavy hitting tank, with of course some serious durability making it really hard to take down. But as a PvE boss, oh, absolute chaos. Imagine teaming up with your friends in a limited time game mode to take down this huge Sentinel that only grows stronger the further the fight goes on. And for a nod to the comics, how cool would it be that this game mode would only allow mutants to take down this Sentinel? It'd be the perfect homage to these classic X-Men battles to take down these huge titans. Now let's jump into the mystical realm with Dormammu, one of the biggest cosmic threats in Marvel. Dormammu isn't just physically huge, he's a powerhouse of dark magic that literally rules over the dark dimension. Now in Marvel Rivals he'd have to be dramatically scaled down to even be playable in game, but you'd still have that larger than life presence. Picture him floating above the battlefield, casting dark energy spells and summoning fire from every dimension, using his magic to summon minions, to open portals, to create barriers, to use traps, literally anything. He might even be able to manipulate the battlefield. And we can't forget about his signature flaming head, just casting spells and flames flying out of it and attacking people even. Now if Dormammu were a PvE boss, he'd be an absolute nightmare, casting reality bending spells that forces you and your friends to literally change how you're going to be able to fight him. He'd definitely be one of the most unpredictable and dangerous enemies in the game, a literal walking magical storm. Shifting gears to something a little more brute force, we've got Abomination, one of Hulk's fiercest enemies. He might not be a cosmic level threat like Dormammu, but his sheer strength would be a force to be reckoned with in game. Picture him in Marvel Rivals as the ultimate brawler, charging straight into battle and hitting everyone with devastating close range attacks. His massive fists could send people literally flying, and his huge stomps and ground slams could make shockwaves that basically go over the whole map. An interesting twist for Abomination could be a rage meter. The more damage he takes, the more angrier and the more stronger he gets, but at the cost of some control. He deals a lot more damage but becomes really hard to use, making him a high risk, high reward character. You'd have to find the right balance between letting him take damage or keeping him in check. He'd be perfect for players who love charging in, dishing out damage and taking loads of damage. But if Abomination ever became a PvE boss, it would be an absolute brawl. He'd charge through everything. He'd smack you out the map, he'd bury you into the ground, he'll throw you so high up in the air, he'll do anything to you, making it really difficult to bring him down. Last but not least, let's talk about Howard the Duck in a giant mech suit. Now, if you think I'm just coming up with a crazy idea, think again, because Howard the Duck has actually done this multiple times in the comics. And yes, I've even got a pop vinyl to prove it. I mean, look how cool he looks. This is him. Imagine this in game. Howard in this suit would bring a perfect mix of humour and chaos into the game. Sure, he's a small and sarcastic duck, but when he gets into his robot suit, he is all business. His mech suit can come loaded with some ridiculous yet powerful weapons. Laser cannons, rocket fists, a massive missile shaped like a rubber duck just to keep things fun. He can switch between long range attacks, which he's using his missiles and his laser cannons, or he could get up close to you with those really powerful rocket fists and deal some serious damage. His humour combined with raw power of the suit would make him a fan favourite in the game. I mean, we've seen what personality does to characters like Jeff the Landshark for the community. Howard the Duck would bring some much needed fun and some firepower into Marvel Rivals. So those are my picks for 5 giant characters that I would love to see in Marvel Rivals. Whether they come as playable characters or PvE bosses, I think they would just bring so much fun to the game. But what do you think? Are there any characters that I've missed or you would love to see as giant characters in the game? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if any characters in this video that you would love to see get a concept character done, let me know in the comments below and I'll add it to my list of concept characters that I'm currently making. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe and turn on notification bell so you don't miss anything Marvel Rivals. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.